again. It's me, X. I wanted to talk to you and tell you a little bit about my Shtf situation that I was in 2005. 2005, I was on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, little town, Bay St. Louis, Waveland, that area, just west of Gulfport, east of New Orleans, Slidell area. We didn't have money to leave, my family and I. We didn't have money to leave, didn't have any place to go. My relatives could care less about us, to be honest with you. To be blunt, if they saw me on fire, they wouldn't urinate on me to put me out. Or my family did. It's just the way my dad's family was, and is. But anyway, in 2005, we was in Hurricane Katrina. We took shelter in a friend's restaurant that we ran up until the storm forced us to close. Sorry, it's kind of hard to talk about this. During the storm, we watched the plate glass windows bow in and out, and it wasn't just eighth of an inch, quarter inch. We're talking several inches before they would shatter. When they finally shattered, the ceiling fans started spinning faster and faster. We had no electric at the time because the power was knocked out by then. Sorry, there's a train going through town here. Get moved, that's one thing I won't miss, I'll tell you right now. But anyway, fans started spinning faster and faster. The roof got ripped off, and so we had like a vortex swirling through and around in this building. The ceiling fans were spinning fast enough that eventually the screws couldn't hold them in, and they would fly off and hit the wall and explode like shrapnel. My dad was standing up front when the first window blew out. My mom, my brother, my ex-sister-in-law, all was up there screaming at him to get back, get back. And all he would tell them is, I'm alright, I'm alright. My dad was a Vietnam veteran. He was in Vietnam on the boats going up and down the Mekong Delta. And he was ambushed, so he had seen combat. He was standing up there screaming back at him over the howling of the wind, I'm alright, I'm alright. They're trying to get him to go back, he won't do it. I hear the commotion, I come from back in the back where I was, and they're walking back, they gave up. I walked up there and I turned and I looked at him. And I had made up my mind, he was either going to the back, under his power, or I was going to take him back there one way or another, under my power. Now, keep in mind, my dad was a big man. My dad was a big man. He was 6 foot tall. I'm a little bit bigger than him. I'm 6'3". And he seen me look in my eyes, and he had seen me pick up things and move things that a normal human being should not be able to pick up and move by themselves. He saw me pick up a washing machine one time and load it into the back of a U-Haul truck. Well, this U-Haul truck that we had, it was about 4 feet off the ground to the back of the truck. I squatted down, got this washer in a bear hug, my arms around it like this, stood up and set the washer in the back of the truck, to my dad's shock and horror, because I didn't want to walk up the ramp backwards with pulling the hand dolly. He seen me pick up recliners and throw them like they were little toys. So he knew pretty much what I was capable of doing, and he knew he wasn't going to stand a chance. So he finally relented and went back to the back. blown out, the roof was ripped off, ceiling fans were done, we had water coming in. During all of this, I was sitting at a table by myself, and I had never had much of a relationship with God at the time. He and I hadn't talked for a while. And I sat there, and I thought about it, and I finally had enough. I threw my hands up, and I said, God, if you want me, that's fine, I will go. But I will be damned if you're going to take anybody that I can help without a fight for me. Having said that, like somebody flipped the light switch, snap, I became so calm, so relaxed. I wasn't scared anymore. I had accepted I was a dead man already. It's just a matter of how and where I was going to die, and I was going to choose how and where. With that, I got up and I went out and started pulling people to safety. Before I started that, I went and my brother, there was a four-wheel drive truck left for us. My brother got himself in there, his wife, my mom and my dad, and my two nephews in there. And he's screaming at me to get in, get in. He's going across the parking lot, a little bit of elevated ground where they had a Burger King. I knew there was a little ramp that led up to it that you had to drive up, and there was no room for me in the truck, and I wasn't getting in the back. I was like, okay, I'm going to walk across there. You keep me in the middle of the hood as we're crossing, and I will lead you right up the center of that ramp. He's screaming at me, I don't want to run you over, I don't want to run you over. I looked at him, laughed, I said, you ain't going to run me over. I'm too damn quick. Well, got him over there. They got unloaded into the Burger King. I had to look at him, my mom, and I tell her, I'm going back and get some stuff. Because water was coming in pretty quick. I went in, crossed back across the parking lot. I have blank spots in my memory. I don't remember a lot of it. I went back across, and next thing I know, I'm back inside this restaurant. I don't know how I got in there. I don't know if I'm going to do an open window, open the door, what I done. Grabbed an armload of stuff, took it back across, parking lot, handed it off, looked at him, said, I'm going back and get more. Next thing I know, I'm back in the back of the restaurant again. And I spotted a stack of black and white pictures from the people who had the restaurant. I decided, you know, I can't take everything I want to. I'm going to pick these up. I'll send them up higher so they're out of the way of the water. Took stuff back, dropped that off. Before they could say anything, I turned around and took off again. This time I'm back there in the back of the restaurant. And I spotted I guess you'd call it a lithograph, of an ambush my dad was in Vietnam. Somebody had done. My mom got it for him, and they went to D.C. to the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And she had it framed and everything. That was my dad's pride and joy. That was his. He loved that thing. When he unwrapped it at Christmas time, he actually sat and he cried. Because he wanted it, but he couldn't get it when he was there. So I grabbed that. I grabbed my mom and dad's painting of their wedding. They have an oil painting of their wedding. I grabbed that and threw that up on my shoulder like a big boom box from the 1980s. Spotted a pack of oatmeal raisin cookies. This is how calm I was. I spotted a pack of oatmeal raisin cookies that we got before everything shut down. I grabbed a fistful of them, and I'm not moving fast. I'm walking like I'm going through the park on a summer's day or spring day. I'm walking with this stuff on my shoulder. In my other hand, I'm sitting there eating cookies. I walk back across the parking lot. And from what I'm told, my ex-sister-in-law looks and says, what in the hell has he found to eat? And my thinking is I can do something to make them laugh and forget about this storm. Forget about what's going on around them and everything. I can make them laugh for a minute. So I'm eating cookies, walking through a hurricane. Hurricane Katrina, as a matter of fact. Dropped that off. My mom told me I was not going back. I wasn't going to argue with her because she's had 2 heart attacks. I then spotted people trying to wrestle a boat together, and I rushed over to help them get the boat. Got the boat stopped so they could get into it. I turn and look, and there's a guy in a aluminum flat-bottom boat. We call them John boats down south. And there's my mom and my sister-in-law. Or no, first I took and carried my nephews across the parking lot, across the 4-lane highway in the center median strip to safety. Then I spotted my mom and my sister-in-law trying to get into this John boat. My sister-in-law climbed in fine. My mom was having difficulty. So me, being the guy I am, I get over there. I reach across the boat and tip it sideways, and the guy's freaking out. He thinks I'm going to topple him over. I leaned it so my mom could get in easier, get her to safety. I told the guy to get my dad and my brother. Well, he informed me they wasn't going. They refused to go. So then I went and I was helping people with the boat. Found an inner tube like you pull behind a boat. Drug that around with me. Helped people. Then the next thing I know, I'm back across this highway in front of this brick building. I sat down and took my boots off. I had steel-toe work boots on. I know, smart choice, huh? Took them off, untied them, took them off, dumped the water out. With both of them sitting there. The next thing I know, I hear somebody saying, well, there's people's pets in there. I have a soft spot for animals. So I throw my boots back on and find out where these pets are, so I'm going to go check on them. They was in the building right next to us, and there was a giant oak tree laying on it. I squeeze in, past the oak tree with a couple other guys, check on the pets, they're all right. I go and I spot a couple of pallets of water and a couple big coolers. I swear to God, these coolers were like 3 feet, 4 feet long. It was huge. It was massive coolers. And I'm dragging them with me. And I got water out, and I filled them up with water and sodas that I found. Drug them outside with me over to this other building. Somebody came over to get them so they could be passed out. I opened the cooler up and I grabbed one single bottle of water. I took a sip of it and handed it to my mom. And sat back down, sitting there. And I remember people walking by asking me, "Are you okay?" And you've heard of people having the 1,000-yard stare because they've seen too much. I had that. I was sitting there just like this, just staring, and people was asking me, "Are you okay?" And I'd sit there and I'd just go, "Uh-huh. Yeah, uh-huh. I'm all right. Mm-hmm." I was hearing them, but I wasn't seeing them. I was looking beyond. It was the craziest thing. Next morning, or that night, I slept in a restaurant to guard what we had left from looters. I'm laying there on a deflated air mattress because the glass popped it. I'm laying there looking through the ceiling at the stars in the sky. I've never seen that many stars in my life. 3 o'clock in the morning, I knew it was 3 o'clock because after they passed, I looked at my watch. Because I had one of them Timex Ironman watches. Cops rolled through, shining their spotlight up in, and I'm thinking, great, here I am, I've got a butcher knife on my chest, and cops are shining through, coming through here looking, they're going to see me, assume I'm a looter, and shoot my ass. I survived a hurricane, now I'm going to die by cop. Great, thanks. Made it through that. The next morning, about 5:30 or so, I was laying there. I hadn't slept all night. I just laid there. Got up, got a chair, and the only liquids we had was alcohol. We had Smirnoff Twists. The restaurant did. So I grabbed an orange Smirnoff Twist, set the chair outside, set a table out there for me to rest my arm on, set my bottle on. I sat there by myself, watching the sunrise. The only way I can explain the sound is if you ever imagine being totally deaf. There was no cars, there was no people, there was no birds, no dogs, no noise of any kind. Not even an insect making a noise. As I sat there and looked around the destruction around me, watching the sun come up, drinking my orange Smirnoff Twist, I sat there and I thought to myself, you know, this is what it's like to be the last living anything on the face of the earth. You've heard the sound, the expression, a deafening silence. That's what I heard. The only thing I could hear was the sound of my own breath and my own heartbeat. There was no other sounds. Nothing. Nothing at all. That was when I vowed that I would never be unable to do for myself and my family again. That was my prepper moment. That was when it dawned on me, I have to do for me and my family. Nobody else will. I can't depend on the government to come and help me. The government's going to look out for the government. Nobody's going to look out for me. That was the hardest moment of my life.